So there's some right there. Not good. There's none on this side. I really thought that this lip right here would have been the worst. And this one right here, none. And I think there's a little bit on this side too. Let's see. Yeah. I see just a little bit over the edge there. And those are the only ones, by the way. I saw when it was forming. Now, I'm pleasantly surprised. Genuinely shocked that it did so well. Now, I'm seeing a bug. I didn't even notice it before I started filming. This is not supposed to be 1 millimeter off, and it is again. This has been happening for my prints now consistently. I have a newbie 3D printer. After some further research, I found out that this is called layer shifting. It looks like it's on my y-axis. Y goes this way, X goes this way. Hopefully I didn't mix that up. And it happens consistently. I looked at my arm, there's a line exactly here. All right, so this is all the filament I used. That's it. Okay, nothing for supports basically, just some tree filaments with it slightly raised. This is to be expected right here. You're asking for it when you print like that. But I can totally work with this. Sanding it off, there's not too many gaps. Some wood filler, I can totally work with this. I'm not too mad. So, what I've been doing as my print has been going on for shoulder number 2, which I'm excited about, and I'll show you in a future episode of why, but I've been sanding every one of these suckers. How I'm doing it is I'm using a palm sander. This isn't a how-to tutorial, it's what I'm doing. Now, this is the shoulder you guys saw. This is what it looks like post-sanding, and it looks beautiful where it printed correctly, and it looks, needless to say, rough where it failed to print. As much as I was excited that, you know, this orientation somehow worked, I'm never doing it again. In fact, with the layer issue, I'm probably going to reprint this, but for now we're going to use it just, you know, a point of reference. So what I do is I start with 80 grit. I've tried 40 grit starting with that, and it seems like too much. 80 grit has been my go-to. Start going off with that. Then I go to 120 grit or 150 grit with some water sanding, and that has been my sweet spot. So again, this is not a how-to, but this is just kind of an update of what I'm doing today and how I've been. This right shoulder just came out so bad that I decided it would be my test print. So we did some wood filler on it, and that's what turns out. I'm going to try saving this part, and the idea that I have is putting a blade in the cracks while I wood fill, then I'll sand it and see if it's remotely savable. So, the one that doesn't need saving is this helmet, and this looks like a minor wood filler job, and it should be easy. I'm telling you from my experience, these ridges are absolutely awful to wood fill. I'm not a professional, as you can see, at wood filling. I still haven't sanded it, but these ridges right here are absolutely awful. Then, I'll be showing a detailed look on me sanding this, and I think that's all for today. Alright, update. So we got 2 parts sanded down, and as you see, this one that I'm trying to save, and I have good hopes for saving, it has a lot of crevices, and I even noticed some imperfections on the sides, 2 lines right there. So what I did is I think more is better. I might be corrected later when I start sanding this, but I put way too much, but those crevices I don't want to be filled in. So I got one of these nice little knives. Great set to have for 3D printing, cleaning your supports and all of that. And I just made lines through them. So I'm going to wait for this to dry, and then we'll sand it down and see the results. Might need to add some more wood filler. Might just say we need to be better with 3D printers. Ta-da! Alright, so I did overkill right here, and the helmet is done with the wood filling because there was a dent, and now the dent for the most part is covered up. All the lines over here are covered up. It looks ugly, but I'm fine with that. I'd rather just sand it down with having too much material than not enough. So there's the sanding job, or excuse me, wood filler job. Now for the sanding job. Yay. I've learned that with these very thin parts, it's not a good idea to be sanding it while it's on a table. I actually hold it up with one arm, and with the other one I sand it, because I can push against the sander harder or more or less, and see how much, you know, friction and pressure I'm adding to it, because I don't want to do another dent, right? The other thing is I don't stay in one spot. As much as I'm like, oh, I really want to work my way down evenly, you'll overheat it, right? This is PLA, it's plastic, and when you're sanding, quite a lot of heat happens with all that friction. So I get a little bit of a spot, I get it good, and then when I start seeing a little bit, you know, of a discoloration or something like that, I start moving along to another part, and I come back to it after it cools down. You could always add water, but with the 80 grit, I'm trying to get rid of the lines for now, and then, and you could clearly tell where I've sanded and where I haven't. After the 80 grit, you know, it looks like you're damaging it all. Okay, don't worry. That's part of the sanding process. Then you go to a much higher grit, something over 100 minimum, 120, 150, and then it's silky smooth, absolutely incredible. Fascinating for you guys to see. So this is 80 grit. This all was 80 grit. This top right here, that's 180. Now it is wet right there, so it is darker naturally. But even when it dries up, I have these parts right here. They're drying up. They're going to kind of be lighter and have a little bit of a shine to them. And I'm probably going to have to go over this guy even more at a higher grit. But that's as good as you sand is as good as your paint will look, you know? So I take my time on this part. And man, this left shoulder came out so perfect. Just look at that. Beautiful. Right one.